This morning, investigators continue to question the captain and crew members of that South Korean ferry that sank late last week. Could they have done more to save the passengers on board? Could it have been handled? Should it have been handled differently in that emergency situation? Joining us to discuss is Captain James Staples, a cargo ship captain and maritime safety consultant with Ocean River LLC Maritime Consultants. Captain, thank you very much for being here with us. I want to walk through what we are learning more about what happened and when, and what could have been done possibly differently, leaning on your expertise here. We know at 8:55 the ferry was as it should be, right?
Correct.
If we begin, we're going to show you then that at, I'm going to pause this so we can stop it. At 9:11 then, it was suggested 43 degrees, listing 43 degrees to the side. And we know from the transcript that whoever the unnamed person was that was speaking to the control tower said that it was too difficult for many people to move around. That was one of their big concerns. People can't move around, they're having difficulty getting their life vests on. How difficult is it to move when you're at a 43-degree angle here?
Well, 43 degrees is very, very difficult. What we need to find out is, first of all, why did the ship go to that inclination angle?
Absolutely.
And why was the ship in such a hard right turn? You know, was it a mechanical failure with the steering gear? Was it a wrong helm command that the inexperienced third mate gave? That's one of the things we need to look at to see what happened here. Why did the ship do this? Whenever a ship makes a hard turn, she should come back to the upright position with no problem at all if she has positive stability. So we definitely have some type of a stability problem here with the ship. The reason we don't know at this time, was it a cargo ship? Did they not have enough fuel or ballast on board the vessel? These are some of the things that they're going to be looking at to see what happened with the vessel. But at 43 degrees, yes, it's very, very difficult to move. But we had time before this, the 10 minutes prior, that could have been given the evacuation order for people to get out at that time.
And time is clearly critical when you see how quickly, at least from the uninitiated, it seems that this began to list and to go under. This was at 9/11 was when it was at 43 at a 43-degree angle. Then they reported that it was at over 50-degree, listing to a 50-degree angle just a few minutes later. What does that suggest to you and how fast this is going under?
Oh, this is quick. She's getting a lot of ingress of water. Something's going on. We don't know if the stern doors were not tight, so we don't know where the water's coming from. But my guess would be that the stern doors were probably taking in quite a bit of water at the time. A large cargo shift with the cargo, so she's now to a point of no return.
So, Captain, at what point, when you are clearly in an emergency situation like this, should it be suggested to put your life jackets on and get ready to abandon ship?
Well, initially, when the ship went to about 10 degrees when she was turning, that's when the concern should have been if she did not come back to an upright position.
Just at 10 degrees?
At 10 degrees, they should have been very concerned as why she was not coming back. When she continued to go on, it should have been given immediately to launch those life rafts. The concern for the captain was the water was cold and it was swift current.
Yeah.
That's true. That's a concern.
Is it a valid concern?
It's a very valid concern, but still, it's no reason for not putting the life rafts into the water at that time. And even if people had to go into the water, they would have had something to go to. They would have had the life rafts.
And it was also suggested that at some point it got to a point where the life rafts were either underwater or they couldn't even get to it to deploy them. Is that possible?
Oh, on the port side, absolutely. They were probably very close to the water, maybe even underwater. But there's still no reason why the life rafts could not have been deployed when she first started to go. That should have been the first command he gave, was to start getting those life rafts ready, get everybody mustered outside so they would not have been trapped inside that vessel. And that's key here, that they were trapped inside.
Does that suggest inexperience to you? Does that suggest that there could have been something else at play, that it was just going down much faster than they had anticipated? Does that suggest that protocol wasn't followed?
Well, definitely protocol. It looks like some type of training problem we have here. Whether they were doing evacuation drills, when was the last time that they did an abandoned ship drill? So these are some of the things that I would be very, very concerned with, is the training. Training aspect.
One final question, just to wrap up. Who they were speaking to, they made contact with the traffic control at its destination, rather than the traffic control where it began, which they were much closer to. Does that pose a problem?
Absolutely. They should have been talking to Gin 2 traffic control. That was the area they were in. If you can picture an airplane, it'd be like an airplane flying around Boston. Rather than talking to Boston air traffic control, they would be talking to, say, LaGuardia.
So they have situational awareness. The other place did not, and where they're supposed to be.
And that's the important factor here, that Gin 2 traffic should have been in contact with them all the time You know, it's mandatory that they check in with that system. So they should have been in contact. That's who they should have been in talk to. But we got to also realize that there's a lot of confusion going on here at the
Absolutely.
same time. There's whistles, bells going off on the bridge. There's a lot of confusion going on.
And first and foremost, they need to continue the rescue and recovery operation and then figure out why they even ended up in this situation to begin with.